There's something about maybe there's something about I don't know if this is the way Italians see the world, but there just needs to be drama. There must be a drama. Even our representation in Italy, like, look, we have to tell you up front, Italians hate selling their property. This is
The handbag husband.
the handbag husband. Yay! But it's definitely gonna be crawling in here. There's a porthole. No. Cabinets. So today, as we are embarking on our Hermès escapades, and obviously I am here, like Picasso, in my blue period. So blue right here. Today we want to talk a little bit about where we left off on our last video about the Pied A Terre and the buying process in Italy. Because we left off previously, we had submitted an offer and it was accepted. Ish. We'll talk about that. But essentially, that leaves us in a position where there's a lot of things that need to get done in a very specific time frame that gets all messed up, essentially. So today what we want to talk about is what happens now, right? We put in the purchase offer, we put in the offer, they accepted it. What happens from that point? Because there's a lot of nooks and crannies and things that we're able to see, a lot of things we're unable to see. And I mean, obviously we're on our way out right now to maybe, potentially, possibly, likely, hopefully, if we're looking at the magic 8 ball, it says outcomes look fortuitous. Be able to do the next video in Italy, signing the deed. But up until that point, we're going to talk about what happened in between the purchase offer acceptance, and the deed signing. And before we get to it, if you like these videos, if you like the Pied A Terre content, please don't forget to like and subscribe because it does really help our channel grow. And of course, we are so thankful for that. Thank you. But also because it means you'll get notified when our newest Pied A Terre content and all the other content we have comes out. All right, let's talk about this interregnum between when they say yes and when we get the deed. All right, so to get you all caught up, in the last video we left off where we had put in an offer and it had been accepted. And I think accepted is we'll get to it here because
Handshake.
Yes, the way Italians do things, the way we've been assured things happen in Italy from our Italian counterparts, our legal counsel in Italy, is that this is totally okay. It seems strange to us, but whatever. So either way, we have sort of a verbal and textual, quite literally a text message agreeing to our purchase price. And what that entails means that after there's an acceptance, there's a few things we have to do, and it seems to be very different from what we've experienced in the United States. So the two big main things that we need to get done is first, we have to hire what's called a geometra, and not the 3-cylinder car, but a person who essentially is they do like an inspection, right?
Inspection.
It's basically an inspector who goes to the property, and they don't really inspect like they would in the U.S., where you hire a guy and he checks out, or a person, and they check out like the electricity and the water and the plumbing and the
Like termites.
earthquake in LA. They don't. That's not what this person does. This person really basically just goes to the property. They measure out to make sure that the spacing is correct, that the size is correct, the number of bedrooms are correct, and that it's the right property. Essentially, yes. I don't even know if they do structurally sound. I think they just verify that the information is correct.
According to whatever community has?
Yes, whatever the community has. So that is one half of it. The other half is basically like a title check, where the lawyers will go to the city and make sure and ensure that the person who is selling us the property has the right to sell it to us. And it's sort of a strange arrangement because a lot of property in Italy gets passed down from one family member to another. And as a result, sometimes properties are handed down to like 4 kids, and then they have to fight it out amongst each other. That happens in the U.S. too. But it's possible one's trying to sell it and one isn't trying to sell it, and they try to sell it to you, and we don't know who actually has property.
Right,
yes.
Yeah.
Other situations there are people who basically have abandoned property
For a really long time.
maybe for a really long time. They went to the United States, perhaps, or somewhere else in the world, and they technically still own that land, and they still have a right to it, but one of the other family members is managing it, and they're trying to sell it and take the money, and then it just gets very messy. So we want to make sure that the geometria basically makes sure the physicality of the property is correct and correctly negotiated and figured out. And then the lawyers will go to the city.
Also because when I add a little bit, because the apartment that we put in offer has a loft space.
Yes.
So we wanted to make sure that the loft is permitted.
Well, that's what I was going to get to.
Oh, yeah,
Is that
sorry.
the geometro checks, basically verifies with the lawyers who pull the documents from the city, say, hey, these measurements are all correct, as well as the permitting issue, because permittings didn't even exist before like 1900 in a lot of the areas of Florence or in Italy in general.
And this building, it was like what?
Before
15?
18, before that time frame. It's a very old building, and so it's being advertised as however many bedrooms and whatever. We want to make sure that that's correct.
It's a studio.
Yeah,
on the
it's a
listing
studio,
says
yes.
that, yeah.
And we also want to make sure that the spaces above, because we did see some spaces in Rome, for
Yes.
example, where they're like, well,
We love the location. It's the OG location.
it hurts my heart, but
Yeah.
it wasn't permitted, right? And it's not an issue if you're just buying it for yourself and you want to do nothing with it, and that's fine, and that's exactly what we're doing it for. But it may be an issue in the future if you are trying to sell it to someone who wants to use it for an Airbnb, or they want to use it for something else where they need to have all the spaces permitted so they can use it in that capacity. For us, it doesn't really matter, but we also are always going to have a mind to selling it as well. The stairs issue was another problem too. Right? We're like, well, if we are so gobsmacked by the sight of these massive stairs at the Gecko one,
Sure.
whoever goes to buy it's all going to be like, I'm out.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to go to the stairs. So that is the two main things that need to happen. And again, that is very different from in the U.S. where you're like, oh, I want to know, is there termites? Is there electricity? Like, is there problems with these? And these are all things that you could request to be fixed or included in the price negotiation. Let's talk about that. So the proposal, we keep saying, alluding to it as done and accepted, and it is accepted. But there's something about maybe there's something about, I don't know if this is the way Italians see the world, but there just needs to be drama. There must be a drama, and they're very lackadaisical
And again,
about.
this is the only experience that we have.
Correct.
I don't want to
Yes.
like generalize everyone that's going to be like
Sure,
this.
this is just our experience,
This
and
is
this might even
just-
just be this one person.
Correct.
But from what I've seen in other places, even our representation in Italy, are like, look, we have to tell you up front, Italians hate selling their property. They hate selling it, and they will basically drag their feet and make things dramatic in ways they don't need to be because of their own discomfort with selling their properties.
Sure.
So we come into that with that knowing. But essentially, we had put in an actual official proposal in the past, and the person freaked out, and they said no, and you're trying to rob me of my property, and how dare you, you dastardly folks. We're just trying to have a negotiation. It's not like we're robbing the grave, but that was the way it was perceived, and that one was declined. Later on, after further negotiation, lots of talking back and forward, lots of conference calls back and forward, discussions with us and the lawyers with their representation, discussions with them directly to us, which I'm not for. We finally came to a point where everyone seems to agree. They don't have the paperwork, and for me, that's unfamiliar. We bought multiple properties in the United States, and there's always this kind of cursus honorum, a process that has to continue to happen.
Yeah.
and it
7
protects
days, 10 days, 15, 21. Get a key. Done.
Yes,
You know?
and it protects us and it protects the seller and makes sure that everyone has a clear view on what everything is. And this just simply isn't that. It's just an agreement. Yes, they're willing to sell it to us at this proposed price, but even that is not clear because in the process of doing this, there was confusion about what was there. And in fact, the seller had come in and said, hey, you know what? I actually want, 10,000 more euros
Then the agreed price.
than the agreed price that we had agreed on because I'm going to leave my furniture and all the stuff that's in there. And we'll get to that. If we get the property, we'll do an audit of what they actually left because we don't know what they left in there.
If we get the property.
If we get the property, which we assume we are.
We don't know until I'm still checking
It's not done till it's done.
checking my emails before
Yeah.
we fly.
Yeah.
And at first, I was like, oh yeah, we have enough buffer time,
Yeah, cut to us opening the door with the key here.
but this is not. This
Yeah.
is not ideal at all.
So she's like, oh, so the seller's like, oh, we want to have 10,000 more euros, but what you get is my old couch and my old bed and my old books and my old statues and my old everything that's in this house. And realistically, knowing what the cost for doing any sort of laborious thing is in Italy, it's going to cost them more than 10,000 euros to get this stuff out of the house if we say no. So it doesn't make sense. And also, it's not particularly nice stuff. This is just stuff that was in a rental property they had that, it's been used. So either way, the lady has an emotional attachment to it. They feel there's a value to it. They're trying to pass that on to us. So that was one of the main issues. The other issue is the seller actually, or the seller's representation, and it was an accident. It was an accident. They reposted the property long after we're into the agreement, long after we have the geometric come out, long after we do the title search, long after we are 95% into this. They reposted on the website to resell it at 16,000 euros more. So
15,000.
15,000 euros more.
15,000
So,
more.
I don't know if that was a misunderstanding. I don't know if this is some sort of weird negotiation tactics. It's just not something we're used to in the US, where things seem very cut and dry, very fast, and very processed. Also, as soon as you sign that proposal in the US, you have 20 days basically, sometimes 10 days.
Contingency?
Yeah, the contingency.
About 15,
Yeah.
21, yeah.
Yeah.
15 is very
Yeah.
common.
Where you can say, well, I'm either gonna, this thing is broken, I want you to fix this, or this is backed out, or you can back out. At this point, we don't have that proposal. We technically could back out at any point, at any time, but we are literally already 4 months into this at this point, right? 5 months into this.
It's about 4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's just an uncomfortable situation for us because there's not that set format. But again, we've been assured that it is very common to buy property in Italy without having a purchase agreement. It's just kind of a handshake agreement. Everyone sits down and then figures it out. And maybe that's a better way to do it, but it feels very uncomfortable.
Very brutal.
So, at this point, lessons learned, right? Things that if we ever do this again, or if you should want to do it again, things that brought us the most consternation that could be easily circumvented. What do you think?
Me. My anxiety.
I think that's true. You just gotta let it chill.
And I cannot.
Right.
I'm not that kind of person which is make
Yeah.
everything worse.
Yes.
They say oh, I will follow up with you. I will have the information by
Yeah.
early next week. To me, early next week is
Monday,
like
Tuesday,
Tuesday.
max. Yeah.
Max. Sometimes it's like Thursday. Sometimes
Yeah.
it's a following
Yeah.
week.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is
Yeah.
not early next week.
Yeah.
If you're gonna be
Yeah.
the 2 weeks from now, tell me 2 weeks from
Yes.
now. Don't tell me early
The
next
thing is,
week.
I don't think they know.
It's
Or maybe
just-
they have an agrarian sense of time. I feel like they have an agrarian sense of time.
And it's just like, I will wake up because the time different.
Yes.
I was constantly, for the past couple months, constantly checking emails. Hopefully there's some updates, and hopefully the listing is gone. That's why we cut the relisting of the
Yeah.
property, because I'm
Yeah.
so anxious about the whole thing.
And infinitely
it's-
worse.
And it's more, and also because we have this trip booked way before we put in offer.
Yes.
So
Like trying to make all the timelines match up when
Yeah.
someone has erratic timing.
correct. So basically, if you're gonna try to buy, just don't put a deadline. Don't put a deadline. You feel a little bit
Yes.
better.
Yeah. And also, infinitely worse than you worrying about it and stressing about it and waking up in the middle of the night is that you woke me up in the middle of the night.
Oh yeah, multiple times.
She's like, hey,
Yeah.
they sent this email.
Yeah, correct.
It's reposted. I'm like,
Yeah. So the last couple months
What?
has been not nice. Mentally
No.
not nice.
All right, so with that, wish us luck. Right, I don't know.
I
don't know.
need it.
If the when I put the picture here and there's no picture there, it's gonna be a bad sign. That's a bad sign. But wish us luck. Hopefully it all works out. I know it will. Our Lady of Perpetual handbags have smiled upon us for the handbags. Maybe we need to find an Our Lady of Perpetual Pied A Terre. if you like these videos. If you like the Pied A Terre content, please don't forget to like and subscribe, because it does really help our channel grow. And of course, we are so thankful for that.
Thank you.
Thank you. But also because it means you'll get notified when our newest Pied A Terre content comes out. So if you want to find out how this works out, whether we get the
Hopefully
keys,
next time we'll be in the Pied A Terre. Oh no, we're signing.
sign the deed. Next time,
hopefully.
ideally, if everything works out and the time schedule works out, we'll be signing the deeds. Anyways, we're about to get on our plane. Ciao.